to give him barrels. But if he gave the barrels back after the Yom HaShuk, and the Cheshvan, he couldn't sell them anymore, so then they have to pay back the full price of what he would have sold them for, less the Demetircha and less the expense of putting a spigot in. Okay. Hayoim Chamisha Varboim Yoim Shem Shisha Shavuos Ushloich Yom Loimer. Today's Rosh Chodesh Sivan, a week before Shavuos, less than a week before Shavuos. I'm sorry. When does it start? If Vav Sivan is Shavuos, so it's day 3, I think. Yeah. So Hamachlev Parah B'Chamor. Normally, when you're cutting an animal, you have to make a Mashicha on it. Now, if you make a Mashicha on it, then you would know the answer to the next question. The Yolda, the Parah gave birth, and we don't know, did it give birth before the Kinyan, and therefore the child belongs to the Moicher, or did it give birth after the Kinyan, and the child belongs to the Lekech? If you made a Mashiach on it, you would know. You're standing right there. But here, they use Kinyan Chalipin. Kinyan Kesef, remember, doesn't work for Metalton. They use Kinyan Chalip, which means one of the parties to this purchase made a Kinyan Mashiach on the Chamor, and they might have been in New York. The Parah might have been in Toronto. And through the Chalipin, the person who was acquiring the Parah acquired the Parah. So the problem here is we don't know. We simply don't know when was the Parah, when did the Parah give birth? Was it before the other guy made a Kinyan Mashiach on the Chamor? And if it was before, then the baby was born while the Parah was already transferred to the purchaser. Or maybe the baby was born first, and therefore the baby belongs to the Moicher, and only the Parah after it gave birth was transferred to the Lekech. And that is the question over here. Or someone who sold the Shivcha and she gave birth. You didn't need Chalipin over here, because a Shivcha, you could be kind of with Kesef. And Rashi says the kind of law evet kanai nikla bekesef. So therefore, I might have given you the lekech, might have given the moicher the kesef in a completely different location from where the shivcha was, and now we find that she gave birth. Zeomer, the seller says, the animal or the shivcha gave birth before I sold it, and therefore the vlad belongs to me. So what do? You split it in half. Why don't you say Amochi Mechaber al Haraya? We're going to see. What if a moicher had 2 servants? One was worth $1,000 and one was worth $500. Or he had 2 fields. One was worth $1,000 and one was worth $500. The Lekeach says, so they made a contract for sale. For some reason, they didn't specify which field it was. And the Lekech says, I bought a big one. And the Moicher says, I don't know what you're talking about. And you're there. I don't know which one. So Zocha Begoda. That sounds like Bori B'Shem and Bari Yod. What about if the Moicher says Bori Katan Macharti? And the buyer doesn't remember, then Ein Lo Ela Katan, he only gets a small guy. What if they're both sure? There you say, you don't say Echlaiku in this case. There you say Yishav HaMoicher Shakatan Mochar. The Moicher is the Muchsik, he's the Moitzim Mechavei, right? So he swears that it was a small one, and that's what happens. In the case of the animal where it was born, I believe the Mishnah passes Echloiku, right? What if both people aren't sure? Then Echloiku, then you split it. Why would you split it when one person says Acholi Macharti and the Lekech says Mishalakachti? Why does it say Achloiku the Lechse B'Shus to Man Kaimo? Let's see who the Muchzik is. Let's see in whose Rishos is the animal at the time, is the Shivcha at the time. And then the other guy is going to be the Moitzim Mechaveri, the Olavaraya. I think my television just went dead. The other one will be a Moitzim Mechaveri Olavaraya. And for the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Shmuel, by Medes, but Agam. You know what the case was? Nobody was a muhsik on it. It was in the Agam. And therefore, neither is a muhsik, and that's why we say Yachlaiku. Frank the Gemara. I'm sorry. What about the case of Shivcha? Shivcha nami the kami besimta. A Shivcha wouldn't normally be found in Agam. That's where animals might be. She would be in the Simta, which is in between the Rishus HaYochid and the Rishus HaRabim. That was a place where she was found, and therefore she is not. She's not in anybody's chazaka. Since she's not in anybody's chazaka, we say Yachlok. Zok to Gemara, v'nukma acheskas to Morikama. So why don't you go by acheskas Morikama? The Morikama of this situation here is the seller. So why don't you say the moicher should be considered the muksuk? And let's say that the buyer should be the moitzim mechavera, the olav haraya. So to Gemara, hamani sumchasi. This is going according to Sumchas. The Amar Maman Amutul B'Safek Chalkin. Sumchas said that Maman Amutul B'Safek Chalkin. So therefore, Sumchas says you don't necessarily go the muchzuk, rather you split it when it's Maman Amutul B'Safek. V'lo yishvu. Frank the Gemara. Amar the Amar Sumchas Shem of Hashem. Maybe Sumchas said that you say Achloiku in the case of Shem of Hashem. But the Bari Ubari, me Amar, who said Sumchas would say Yachloiku even in the case of Bari Ubari. Maybe there you should say Amoche Mechaber Levaraya. Zok Gemara, Amar Rabba Bar Ravuna. You're right. Amar Sumchas Afilu Bari Ubari. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that Sumchas said as halacha even by Bari Ubari, and therefore it makes sense to say that the time of our Mishnah is Sumchas, and that's why even though it's Bari Ubari, we still say Yachlok. Rav Amar La'olam Ki Amar Sumchas Shem V'Shem. I agree with your kasha. Sumchas only said Yachloiku and not Amochi V'Chaver L'Varaya by Shem V'Shem. Aval Bari Ubari Lo Yamar. So Oibazoi V'Oibazoi over here. Why do we say Yachloiku in the Mishnah? It's a Bari Ubari, and we just said a second ago that Sumchas agrees by Bari Ubari Amochi V'Chaver L'Varaya. Zok the Gemara, and we're going to change the Mishnah. V'tani Ze Omer Shema Achel Mecharti V'Ze Omer Shema Mishalaka. In fact, the case of our Mishnah is a Shem of Hashem. Because in a Bari, in fact, it wouldn't be Achloiku. It would be a Moitzeh Mechaver L'Varaya. And our Mishnah is speaking about Hashem. So now the Gemara is introduced a new Machloikas. Does Sumchas say, Maman Amutul B'Safek Yachloiku, even by a Bari or not? And depending on whether or not he would say that, that's how we would explain the Mishnah. If he holds Yachloiku even by Bari, then we could say our Mishnah according to Simchas, and it's a case of Bari. But if Simchas did not say it's a case of Bari, then we'll have to say that our Mishnah is a case of Shem of Hashem. Now, Tosfos points out something very important. When the Gemara said it's going like Simchas, the Gemara was not chayzer from the fact that nobody's a muchzir. Right? The Gemara said the case was where the Eved was in the Simta or the animal was in the Agam. Right? Now, maybe when Sumchas says Yachloiku, maybe it's even if it's someone's a muchzir. Maybe it's even connected to muchzir. But if that was the case, the Gemara should have said Ella Omar Sumchas. We're being chayzer from what we said until now, that it's speaking by Agam, it's speaking by Simta, and we're relying on Sumchas. Zok Tosfos, the Gemara doesn't say Ella. The Gemara says Sumchas. The mashma that Sumchas, even Sumchas would hold that you only say Yachloiku if it was in the Agam or in the Simta, meaning there's no muchzir. And that's what Tosfos says over here. Nira l'Rabbeinu Shmuel. So on the second Tosfos on the moment, midaloi ka'amar ella hamani Sumchasi mashma deloi hodar bei imad ukma by medus Agam v'loi Ari Sumchas ella b'she'ein muchzik loy zeh v'loy zeh. You know when Sumchas says Maman Amutul B'Safek Yachloiku, that's if no one's a muchzik. Aval heicha de muchzik moed de Sumchas dal idich lahavi raya. The problem was, for Tosfos, problem is we said before, if Ze'omer ein yedei im shula im schura, the Ze'omer ein yedei, we said in the case where we weren't sure did the animal die when it was a shula or was it a schura, there, Allah is Yachloiku, and we said it's going to Sumchas. there, you see, Simchas holds you say achleiku, even if there is a muchzik, because right, the circle is a muchzik. You want to pay for the animal, right? So you see, Simchas holds you achleiku, even he's a muchzik. So how can we say over here that Simchas would hold? You don't say you say much mechavel varaya if one was a muchzik. Yishloimar hasam sham muchzik nami toyin shema. The muchzik is also tiny shema. So ain't cheskas my elis. So here's the chiddush of Tosfos. Muchzik is only good if it's backed by a tiny buri. If I'm holding on to it and I say I know for sure it's mine, that gives my power a muchzik. But if it's in my restriction, but I'm not asserting my muchzik because I myself don't know, then the muchzik doesn't make a difference. Avol hach ukimna by medus agam kidei leukma afilu bebari ubari. So the way it works is. There was a case of Shema B'Shema. Shema B'Shema, even if you're a muhsik, it doesn't help. Even if you're a muhsik, your muhsik doesn't help, you'll still say Yachloik. Over here, if you were a muhsik and you're bari, then Sumchas would agree. But we know we had one Shita who wanted to learn that Sumchas says that our Mishnah is speaking even in the case of bari or bari. If it's a case by bari, and one of the people who's a bari is a muhsik, then you would go basar muhsik. So therefore, since our Mishnah wanted to say it's also speaking by bari, for that we have to remain with the case that it's speaking in the agam or in the simcha. The hava muchzik chad binayu haytomay elos chaskus. So that is the chiddush of Tosfos, that the muchzik only helps with the tainus bari. The muchzik doesn't help with the tainus shema, and there's a svara to it. It's mine. I'm going to right because I'm asserting that it's mine. But if I myself, I'm not even really holding on to it because I don't even know if it's mine. Then even Sumchas would agree that you say achleik. Okay, Zok the Halak of Gemara. Zok to Gemara. Zok to Gemara. We're going to now try to bring a raya, yes or no, whether or not Sumchas said it's halach even by barim. Tanan we learned. Zo'imer eini yedeh, zo'imer eini yedeh. If each, 1 second. And he changes the Mishnah. The Tani Zaymer Shema actually Macharti Zaymer Shema Mishalaka. Tanan. Let's analyze our Mishnah. Zaymer Eini Yedea. The Zaymer Eini Yedea Yachloik. If neither party knows, then Yachloik. And that's referring to the save of our Mishnah, where the question was that I buy the bigger slave or the smaller, the bigger property or the small. So Bishlam al Rav. Bishlam according to the way Rav understood it. Where it's all Shema B'Shema. Midaseva Shema B'Shema, Reishanami Shema B'Shema. By Shema B'Shema, that's where Sumchas says Echleik. So the same way, we want to make the case discussing if I bought the big one and a small one, parallel to the cases where we're discussing if the baby was born yet or not. So if you're going to learn in the Sefer that the Shema B'Shema, that it was a case of Shema B'Shema, that's where it's Echleiku, well then it would make sense that the parallel case referring to the first example should also be Shema B'Shema, which is exactly how Rava explained it according to Sumchas, because Sumchas only says Yachloiku by Shema B'Shema. And the Rava by Rafuna, the Amar in Amar Sumchas Afilu Bari Ubari. So Hash the Bari Ubari Amar Yachloiku. He learned in the first case where it was a question when the Vlad was born, and there's a Bari. Even in the case of Bari Ubari, Amar Yachloiku, we're saying that Sumchas holds Yachloiku. So do I need the second half of the Mishnah to tell me a Chiddush that by Shema B'Shema you'll say Yachloiku? Shema B'Shema Miboy? Once we've already asserted that Sumchas Shita is even by a Bari Ubari, you say Yachloiku. Do I need a Mishnah to tell me a case of Shema B'Shema? That would be partial. That's not a kasha. Because maybe Tana Seifa L'Gluya. Maybe you're right, the Seifa is redundant. Because if I know Bari you say Achloiku, surely by Shema B'Shema you say Achloiku. But how do I know that the Reish is speaking by Bari? What's my raya? Shalai Taimar Reisha Shema B'Shema Avol Bari Ubari Loi. Don't mistakenly learn like Rova that it's Shema B'Shema. Rather, I'm going to prove to you that the Reish is speaking by Bari. How do I do that? Mechal the Reisha Bari Ubari Rafiloch Yachloiku. If he Baal the Sefer says that Shema B'Shem Yachloiku, then what's the Chiddush of the Reisha? It must be that the Reisha is even speaking in the case of Bari Ubari, and the Talmud is saying a bigger Chiddush. Whoever learns it's all Shema B'Shem. And he says it's the Sefer Shem, it's a parallel case. So it's two different perspectives of looking at the mission. Does each one build on the other, or is it possible that we're just having two sets of parallel cases? Tanan we learned. Zemer Godo was Emer Kot. What if one guy claims, the Lakeh claims, I bought the bigger Ebed, and the Moicher says, no, you bought the smaller. Yishava Moicher Shekoton Moch. The Moicher has to swear that he sold the smaller one, and then Tamoichi Mechaver all over it. Frektemar Bishloma Larava de Omar. So this is the case of Bori Bori, right? He says God, he says God. That's Mamish Bori Bori. And Sumchus agrees that by Bori Bori, you say I'm going to make a very liberal. Abu Bori Bori Amar, therefore Mishamachi Yishava. El Rabba Barafuna the Amar in Amar Sumchus Afilu Bori Bori, according to Rabba Barafuna. That Sumchus holds even by a case of Bori Bori, you say Achlaiku. So what's that case of the Bavishta? Amar Yishava. Moicher. Why would the Moicher swear and you say you're Moicher Mechaber Levaraya? Yachlokum Miboyle. Dr. Gemara, because Moite Sumchus Heicha the Ika Shvu Raisa Ki de Ba'inan Lamemer Lekamon. You're right. Just if that was the whole story that I said Bori and you said Bori, Avada would be Achlok. Why over here do we say that the Moicher Yishava? It's because there's another Shvua here. The case was where there was another Shvua that was triggered, and the Balt was another Shvua that was triggered, therefore we tell him to swear. And the Gemara will tell us the case is where I didn't give him back the whole of it. So what's happening is he claims I bought the small one, the Moicher is claiming that I bought the small one, and the Lekeach is claiming I bought the big one. But the problem is the small one's hand got chopped up. So the Moicher is going to be mechuyev b'shvua because he's a shtickle moed b'miktzas, because he's saying I sold you a whole small of it, but I'm only giving you back part of it, so I still owe you more. So that's a shtickle moed b'miktzas. So therefore, there's a chiyuv shvua there. Okay, zok to Gemara weiter. Hayuloi beis avodim echad gadol echad kat. So what is the halacha that he swears? Frankly, more Amai Shava. Why would he swear? What is the Chiv Shvua for the Moicher to swear? It's like Moed b'Miktzas. You say, "Oh, you a big one," and I say, "Oh, you a small one." The big and the small are two different people. So Mashatanu loy hoydaloi. The Lekeach is claiming, "I sold him a big one," and on that I'm saying la'ada. There's no Chiv Shvua there. Umashahoydaloi, that I agree that I sold you a small of it. That's a completely different thing. So where is there a chiyuv shvua triggered over here? You never mund me any type of evet cotton. That's problem number one. Why there should be no chiyuv shvua. The second reason why there should be no chiyuv shvua is v'oid heichu. The halach is if you say I owe you $100 and I take out $50 cash, says no, you only lent me $50 and here's the $50. As Shmuel Kamensky say, if I say nadich de geld. If the Heilig is nadich the geld, then there's no chiyuv shvua. Because we look at it like I'm a koifer koil, another 50, and the first 50 is not moedon, the first 50 I pay you back. So here too, whatever I'm being moeded to, I'm saying take the cup. So that's the second reason why there shouldn't be a chiyuv shvua. But the third reason why there shouldn't be a chiyuv shvua is einish boin al havodim. Avodim and karkois, there's no din shvua. We learned that from Pesukim. So why in the world is there a chiyuv shvua over here? Omar Rav, Dr. Rav, the case is not that the Lekeach is saying, give me my evet. The Lekeach is saying, give me my money back. But Tayanai Demei, he's asking for my evet, for my money. The Mei evet Godo, the Mei evet Koton, the Mei Sada Gedoylo, the Mei Sada Ketan. Let's see what Rashi says over here, because we're going to have a little bit of an interesting machlokes Rashi in Tosfos. Demei evet gadol, masarti loch biyotcha shetikneyu li v'loy kanisa. I told you to buy for me I told you to buy for me an Evet Gadol. You didn't. You bought me an Evet Katan. I want my money back. But Adam, who did he say that? What's going on over here? So Rashi learns that this is not a discussion between me and the Moicher. This is a person who was meman a shliach to buy an Evet. So I gave a shliach money to buy me an Evet. I thought it was going to be an Evet Gadol, and the shliach comes back with an Evet Katan. And I tell the shliach, give me my money back. Give me my money back. So this is already an argument between a lekeach and a shliach, and he wants his money back from the shliach. That's how Rashi is. Tosha says, then it's not a question of between him and the moicher. It's a question between him and the shliach. And that's not the pashtus of the mashamoyis of what's going on over here. So Tosha has a slightly different shot. So let's just look at the bottom Tosha. The man with God appears because no sadi left dom and lickness have God. We'll have a little minkit with masnishin lekeach and moicher, because there's no discussion between the lekeach and the moicher here. This is a disagreement between the shliach and the mishaleach. Nearly read the Mairi, it's no shliach. In fact, there's only a moicher and a lekeach. So how did this confusion pop up? The Mairi shemochar loy evet, the moicher sold an evet, the nosan loy dom, and the buyer paid a certain amount of money to the moicher, but there was no kinyan. The star wasn't written to clarify precisely what he bought. It's speaking in the case where the meaning is to write a star, so the sale won't be completed till the star is written. And now there's a disagreement what it was on, so I'm asking for my money back directly from the moicher. Or inami star. So therefore, there's no kinyan yet. I gave you the money, and now we have a dispute what the money's for. I demand my money back. So at the end of the day, the dispute is over money. The dispute is over money. It will be perfectly logical to say that there should be a chiyuv shavuas moedim b'meit. Shmuel Amar. Shmuel had a different approach to answer this. He said it's b'tay anoi ksus evet godol ksus evet katan. When I'm buying an evet, he comes along with his clothing. So if that's the case, the place to be able to have metaltalin, not an evet, so there could be a chiyuv shvua, is we're arguing about whether or not you're going to furnish a big beged or a small beged. So on the evet I can't swear, but on the beged I could swear. Or oimrei sada gedoyla, oimrei sada katana. The question is, if there are fruit in the field, that's what I'm owning. I'm owning 100 bushels of wheat because I think that's what we should have grown in that field. And you're saying, no, I'm only giving you 50 bushels of wheat. So the discussions could still be about metaltalin that are subject to the halachas of shvu. Frank Timora, memela, if it's the question of how much wheat, yeah, there's a moedim b'mitzvahs here. But ksus, you have the same problem again. You wanted a big bag. He says, I don't owe you zero. I owe you zero of a big bag. I'm giving you a small bag to accommodate the small of it. You never asked me for a small bag. So once again, it's a problem that there shouldn't be a chiyuv shavuos moedim b'mitzvahs. Zok the Gemara, because Amar Papa, like our Papa will say in just a minute, Lagabe something else. Bidi Yalfi. It was a beged that came like a toilet paper roll. And it was basically maybe a long quilt, and depending on how big that it is, you'd cut the quilt long or short. So he said, you owe me a longer quilt. And he said, you a shorter quilt. Hachanami b'di Yalfi. So we can say the argument about the beged that they're discussing here is a beged. It's the same beged. The question is, how many meters worth of beged is he going to cut from the roll? Break the Gemara. Culture Lila Rav Hoshi didn't like this pshat. You know why? Midi ksus katani, evet katani. It doesn't say that there's a machlokes in the Mishnah between the moicher and lekeach about a beged. That's what we're swearing on. It's quite clear from the Mishnah the dispute is about the evet himself. So you want to fetch it to say talking about the beged? It's not kishmak to learn pshat in the Mishnah. El Omer Rav Hoshi, I have a different pshat. So far we have two pshat, right? The first pshat is was the me'avet gadol, the me'avet katan, and that was Rab's teretz. Shmuel's teretz was between ksus, which Rav Hoshi doesn't like, And now Rabbi Hoshi is going to offer us a third shot of why there's a chiyuv shvua. Rabbi Hoshi kegoin chetanai eved b'ktsusai v'sada by mereha. It's an argument about not only the eved, it's an argument about the eved and the ksus. On the ksus, you can have a chiyuv shvuas moedim b'miktas. But the problem that Rabbi Hoshi had is that the Mishnah is not talking about a dispute about the ksus. The Mishnah is talking about a dispute on the eved. You're swearing about the eved. Zok Rabbi Hoshi, you're right. But once there's a chiyuv shvua midai rights al moedim b'miktas for the ksus, for the oimrin, now al gilgul shvua, you could demand that he should swear on the eved himself, and you could demand that he should swear on the soda itself. So there is a shvua, a transaction directly involving the eved and the karka, but it's only a del gilgul shvua. So eved b'ksuzoi v'soda b'mer. Frank Gemara, okay, soda b'mer, I understand why there was a base shvua, because there's a moed b'miktas. But vakat eksus mashatanu lahoidoloi, mashahoidoloi letanoi. How does it create a shvua deraisa? There's no shvua deraisa if there's a machlokes, if I told you a bixus or a smaltus. Amar Papa, so this is where a Papa said his halacha b'di alfi. It's speaking about a beged where depending on how many yards you take, that's what determined if it's a big beged or a small beged. So we just used our Papa who was referring to Reb Hoshia, we applied him to Shmuel as well. Frag the Gemara, I don't understand. According to Reb Hoshia's shot in the Mishnah, what is the Chiddush of the Mishnah? It's teaching you about Gilgul Shmuel, right? Because the reason why there's Shmuel is because of Gilgul. Frag the Gemara, Kachal Reb Sheshes. Reb Sheshes didn't like Reb Hoshia's shot. Zogin also lost me none. I need a Mishnah here in a shoyl to tell me a Chiddush of Gilgul Shmuel. That's not where the Torah. That's not where the Mishnah would teach me about Gilgul Shmuel. It would teach it to me where it discusses these things. And you know where it does? Tanina. In Shavuos is the main Mishnah. Zoygin hanachasim she'ein lamachrayis es hanachasim she'yesh lamachrayis l'shabat. Even though there's no chiyuv shvu on karka, however, if there's going to be another chiyuv shvu generated here midayraisa, then al yidei gilgul you swear on the karka as well. So we have such a Mishnah. Why over here would the Mishnah and Hashoy will be teaching that to me? According to you, Reb Hoshia, that's the whole chiddush of our Mishnah. It doesn't make sense that that chiddush should be advertised over here. El Omer Reb Sheshes, I have a whole different shot. It's talking about a proper shavua on karka, and it's talking about a proper shavua on avodim. The problem is, we just said a minute ago, ein ishpoyin al avodim, ein ishpoyin al karkoyis. Zok Reb Sheshes, Hamani Reb Meir. We're going, our Mishnah, the Tana of our Mishnah is Reb Meir, the Omar Abdo Kebetalton Dami. Reb Meir holds an Eved is like Metalton. Now, we need a Shita who holds that not only is Eved like Metalton, and you could swear on it, but he also has to hold that Karka is Kebetalton, because our Mishnah says that there's a Chiv Shavua, side for the Eved and side for the Karka. So that's what the Gemara really needs over here. So the Gemara says there's Reb Meir holds of that. Right? The Gemara is going to get back to Reb Meir in a second. How do you know Reb Meir says it? Where do you find Reb Meir? It's a huge chiddush. Where do you find Reb Meir that says something like that? But we'll put that aside because the Gemara had three kashas. The first kasha why there shouldn't be a shavua is because it's an eved or karka. But the other problem was the halach. I'm sorry, the other problem was the machatanu lehoidoloi. What about the akati machatanu lehoidoloi, machahoidoloi leitanu? Right? I told you a small eved, and you say about a big eved. There's no chiyuv shvua there. If it was taka moedim b'miktas, we covered that problem. You swear for karka, you swear for avodim, but it's not a moedim b'miktas. The Gemara, Reb Meir also holds like Savala Reb Gamliel, the Tanan Tanu Chitin Vadi B'Sar Potter, but Reb Gamliel Machai. So maybe our Mishnah holds that that's not either a problem. Correct Gemara, but there was a third problem why you shouldn't swear. Akate helachu. Whatever I'm being moed on, like I'm being moed that I sold you a sadik tana or an evercotton, I'm giving it to you right now. That's halach. So weiter, there shouldn't be a chiyuv. Omarava Abdo the Kotalu. It's speaking where the owner cut off the hand of the Eved for whatever reason. So even when he's giving him back what he's made on, it's not halach because he's missing something. He still owes the money. So you don't have a problem halach here. Visoda shechafer baboyros shichin uma'aros. It's speaking where he's not giving back the whole soda that even he agrees that he sold. It's a damaged soda. Okay, so now that we contorted ourselves to create a Tana that combines three shittas. A, you could swear on avodim v'karka. B is you could swear even though it's mashatanu loyhaida, and it's speaking in a weird case where there's no halach also. Now we could make our Mishnah go according to Reb Meir. Now the problem is, Reb Meir says this. Reb Meir actually doesn't say this. Why? It's not milut. Go to Beima v'yaskino. You stole the Beima that got old. Avodim v'yaskino. Avodim they got old. Mishalom k'shasek zela. Because kolak is lo mishalom k'shasek zela. They're kind of at that point. At that point, there's a chiyuv triggered for them to pay, and even if it drops in value, it drops in value b'shus the gas. Where Meir argues, avodim oimer le'reish chalav because avodim like karka is einin nigzelas. So you see, Reb Meir holds avodim is kakarka, and therefore you would not swear on it. So here you want to say Reb Meir holds you can swear on avodim. Clearly, Reb Meir holds avodim is kakarka. You can't swear on it. If you could say reish chalav necha, it's einin nigzelas, by the same token, you're going to say you can't swear on it. Zok mahal kasha. I have an answer for that. I could flip the shittas around. Kidamachlif Rabbi Baravua, the Tani Reb Meir Oimer Mishalom K'shasek Zela, V'chachamim Oimer Loi Ba'avodim HaReishal Chalavanah. So we can at least say that Reb Meir holds that avodim are just like metaltlin, and just like by Gzela we treat them like metaltlin, and we say that the Gazlan is kind to them, and therefore he has to pay back K'shasek Zela. Who did in the case of Shua, you would swear on an Eved. Correct the Gemara. Okay, you've shown a place where Reb Meir holds that by an Eved you could swear. But who said that you found the Shita that by Karka you could swear? Where our Mishnah says by Karka you're swearing too. You have not yet found a Reb Meir who holds that by Karka you could swear. You only found a Reb Meir who says that by an Eved you could swear. So Elamimai discover Reb Meir Makshin and Karka Eved. Ma Eved Nishboin of Karka Nishboin. Who said that's what Reb Meir holds? Dilma I Eved who did Nishboin. Maybe only by Eved you swear, and that's what you see in the Brisa. Because by Avodim you could say Reishal Chalav Aval Akarka loy, but maybe on Karka you can't swear. So, and in order for us to for Emperor Mishnah, we need to prove that Reb Meir holds that by Karka you could swear as well. It's not mistaber to say that Reb Meir splits Karka from a Talpin, from Avodim, and by Eved you could swear, and by Karka you can. So therefore, once I proved that Reb Meir holds that by an Eved I can swear, probably by Karka I can swear as well. How do I know he doesn't separate the two? The Tanya we learned. That's the same case as our Mishnah. What does it say? The person who claims that it was Rishusi was Zoich. What about if it's a Bori Bori? That's the case we're going to focus on. Yishava hamoicher shebershusa yol. Why? Lefisha kala nishboin shebetoya nishboin v'loy misham. Normally, the nitva is the one who swears to avoid payment. Who is the nitva here? The moicher is the nitva. So the nitva will swear that he only sold the small one and he doesn't have to pay the big one. Diver Reb Meir. I'm sorry? He gives the small one. He'll be able to give the small one. Okay, or by the baby. Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. I apologize. Not the big one, the small one. He'll be able to swear that he only sold the mother, not the child. Correct. I'm sorry. Diver Reb Meir. So here Reb Meir only says you're swearing on the benefit. Reb Meir doesn't say over here you swear on karka. Right? We're looking for a makar. There Reb Meir holds you swear on karka. But from the Chachamim's comments, it's going to teach us, it's going to enlighten us in what Reb Meir meant. The Chachamim ein ishboin lo yal avodim v'lo yal karkais. If the Chachamim is only, if Reb Meir is only talking about avodim, so all he would have said is ein ishboin al avodim. But the Chacham said, no, I disagree with you, Reb Meir. You side don't swear for avodim and side not for karkais. Lav machal Reb Meir sover nishboin. It's matter that Chachamim are coming to make a point to argue with Reb Meir. You say you could swear on avodim and karkais. I hold you can't. So from the Chachamim's comment on Reb Meir, it sheds light on what Reb Meir said, that Reb Meir must have held that you could swear sign avodim, sign karkais, which is the perfect recipe that we're looking for. And now the time of our Mishnah could be Reb Meir, who holds you could swear on avodim and karkais. Dr. Morris, no, that's not a diak. Mimai. Dilma, kishem ka'armurli. This is what they're saying. Ki hechid oidis on karkais, Maybe Reb Meir holds that by karka you don't swear. And what the Chum are trying to say is by karka you're moided to us that you don't swear. Oidi lo nami ba'avod. So when they said loy nishboy and loyal avodim loy karkois, the telling Reb Meir karkois you're moided to us. So avodim should be no difference. And I'll prove to you that that's what they meant. There are certain things that are like karka, but not like karka. The ein chachamim moedim, and the chum are not moedim. Ketzad, yud gefanim to unois masarti. I gave you 10 fully ripened, ready to go vines. V'aloimer einan elachom. Reb Meir mechayev. Reb Meir holds you make a shavua. You make a shavua. It's kekarka, but any karka, but you make a shvuah even though it's kekarka. The chachamim ma'amrim kol mechuber karka harei kekarka. So you see, Reb Meir holds you're making a shvuah on karka, right? Reb Meir says you're making a shvuah on karka. I'm sorry, fakir. Reb Meir holds that it's kekarka, but any karka, meaning it. And we'll see in a second. We'll see in a second what that means. The discussion here is you have grapes that are fully grown, but they're still on the vine, but they're ready to be harvested. The one man holds they're like betzuris, which is Reb Meir. Reb Meir holds, why could you make a shvu on it, even though they're mechuber? Because they're considered not mechuber, because they're ready to be cut. And the Chamar can say, no, it's mechuber now. So what do you see from here? You see from here that Reb Meir holds that if it was mechuber l'karka, you wouldn't make a shvu. So I have a riot that Reb Meir does not say that by karka. So Reb Meir cannot be the Tana of our Mishnah. Because the Tana of our Mishnah says you are making a shvuah by karka. Reb Meir holds you won't make a shvuah by karka. And Tosfos speaks out the riot is not from Rabbi Yosef Bechadina's explanation, like I seem to have indicated. The riot is merely from the fact that Reb Meir said yesh dvarim shein kekarka v'edim kekarka. Because clearly, if it's like karka, Reb Meir is saying you wouldn't swear for it. So Reb Meir articulated you wouldn't swear for karka, so clearly he cannot be the Tana of our Mishnah. So therefore, we have to abandon that pshat. So we're going to have to go back to Reb Hoshia's pshat, but we have Rav's pshat, we have Shmuel's pshat, but we're going to go back to Reb Hoshia's pshat. Reb Hoshia's pshat was that I bought the big evet with the big beged, and you say you sold me the small evet with the small beged. And since there's a chi of shvuah on the metaltlin, al yidei gilgul, there'll also be a chi of shvuah on the evet. And the kasha was, why is our Mishnah here in Hashoyel telling us the chiddush of zoykagin? Isn't that something that doesn't belong here? U'de kasha lach zoykagin itzrich? Zoykagin, yeah, itzrich. There's a chiddush over here because sol kadai the chamina sus evet ke'evedami. Maybe we would consider even the base shvuah on the evet like it's evet. Because the beged of an evet is like part of the evet. And therefore, there is no metaltal here at all to even start with a shvu deraisa, so you could even start with a zoykagin. Kamach from that no, the ksus is considered a separate independent item that would trigger a chiv shvuas moed b'mikzas, and therefore you could swear on the evet as well. So Allah Lamaisa, the way our Gemara is learning Pshat in our Mishnah is it's not going according to Reb Meir. Rather, the reason why there's a shvuah here is because there's a shvuah moed b'mikzas on the beged, on the metatlin component. And through Gilgul Shvuah, you're also going to swear on the evet itself, and then the karka itself. This is classic sumchis. Let's look at the seif. Now, you might ask, what do you mean Hamani sumchasi? Didn't we just say that twice in our Mishnah already? Zok Rashi, this is not going back on our Mishnah. It's going back on the brisa that we quoted earlier on the DAF, Hamach Lepar B'Chamor. So we're saying this brisa, like the Mishnah, is also going according to Sumchas. Ema said, Zomer B'Shusi, V'Damer B'Shusi, Yishava Amoicher Sheb'Shusi Yolda. So this goes back to the same time we had before. Ularava Barafuni Damar. In Amar Sumchas Afilu Bari Bari, Ama Yishava Moicher, Yachlok Miboy. There should be a Yachlok to Bari Bari. And Sumchas holds even by Bari Bari, say Yachlok. Zakti Gemara, Moide Sumchas, it's speaking where there was a shvu deraisa anyway. Where there's a shvu deraisa anyway, that fact you will say that the nitva gets to swear and become potter. Like Rabbi said earlier, where it's speaking where the hand was cut off, so it's on halach. So you could say that there was a chi of shvu deraisa triggered here. I'm sorry. because I'm not giving. Halach means the part that I'm owed on. Like I say, I owe you 50, and I'm giving you 50. I say I'm owed to you that I sold you a small levet, and I'm saying here's a small levet, but I'm not giving you the whole small levet because the hand is missing. So in Mela, I'm not giving you in full. I'm not paying you in full what I'm owed to you that I owe you. Okay, gewaltig. Zog to Gemara. Look at the Mishnah. Hamosh Zeisov leitzim. Someone had an old beaten up olive tree, and he sold it to somebody for wood. So the guy's supposed to come, chop down the tree, and take it away for firewood. In the meantime, the guy wasn't coming quickly enough, and he let it sit there. And what happened? It produced pears, but it produced shvacha pears. But also pachos merviris l'saw. Normally, healthy olives, if you have a saw of olives, you're going to have more than a revius of oil. These were shvacha olives. Even though you have a saw of them, you wouldn't even be able to extract a revius of oil out of them. So the shvacha olives, they belong to the guy in the tree. Lamaisa, how did it grow? Nourished from the ground, which belongs to the seller, but he's not makbid on the shvacha little olives, and they stay. The owner of the tree will be able to keep it. But also revius the saw. But what if it produced chosheve olives? Therefore, the owner of the tree says, listen, this grew out of my tree, so they're my olives. The other guys, what did it grow out of your tree? It grew out of your tree because it absorbed nourishment from my land. It should be mine. So the halach is jachloiku, we split it. Shut off nor zeisov. What happens if a different story? A guy had olive tree in his property, and the river washed out the tree. The tree flowed down the river, and it resurrected itself in someone else's property. But not like sadach. Now olives. The owner of the tree said, "It's my tree that grew these olives." The zaymer archigo, and the person who the tree got replanted in said, "What do you mean? It's my land that nourished, that provided the nourishment for these olives that grew." What was the case? In the case where I sold my tree, if I said, "Cut it right now, get it out of here," so then I feel pachos mervius nami lebalakar. So that even if it grew shvacha olives, the balakarka should still claim them. I didn't give you a right to leave your tree, or I had a poda that you shouldn't take a massive of nourishment from me. So therefore I'm entitled to it. And the Ida Amar like Kal Amos the boy is cuts. And if I said no pressure, whenever you have time, you can come cut it. Meaning I let you leave the tree to go and nourish from my land. Then I feel a revius nami lebalazation. So the owner of the tree, she got to keep it, because clearly the seller said, "I'm not makbid if you keep it there that nourishes from my ground." So he didn't tell the guy at all. They didn't address when the buyer should cut the wood down and bring it. So therefore we say, if they grew shvacha olives, there the owner of the land wouldn't have a problem. But revius kapti inchi, if it grew nice olives, then somebody would be makbid. And Amar Shimon Pazi revius shamru, and that we said that if they're choshev grapes, they produce a lot. There's a hakpada, and then there'll be a yichloiku. That means chutz min haitzah. It means even after you spend all the money to process it, you'll still be left with revius. Only then would there be a hakpada from the balabais that he wants those olives. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a hakpada. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we were to finish up. We're up to 101. We have a Chodesh Sivan today. We have a beautiful day for Chodesh. We're day 45 and we're day 46 in Omer. Rosh Chodesh Sivan, if I'm not mistaken, is a very big Hungarian yahrzeit. A lot of Hungarians have yahrzeit for their loved ones who are killed in the Holocaust, Rosh Chodesh Sivan, because it was a massive, massive Hungarian transport that reached Auschwitz on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and usually the day that they arrived, they were killed because they killed so many people so quickly. So my shver used to keep the yahrzeit for all of his family on Rosh Chodesh Sivan because that's when they were deported. My shver got to Auschwitz on Rosh Chodesh Sivan, and Mengele told him to go to the right, told his wife to go to the right, and told his two little daughters to go to the left. And his wife said, "I want to go with my kids." So Mengele said, "Go with your kids," and she perished with the children.
There's 45.
No, today's 46.
Yesterday,
Today's 46.
46. Sorry,
Monday night is when it's even. So Monday night was 42. Tuesday night was 43. No, Tuesday night was 42. Tuesday night is even. So Wednesday night was 3.
No, Monday night.
No, forget it.
We finished
Monday
the
night was
week.
2. Right. Today's 45.
Yeah, I was right. I was
Oh,
there
today's
yesterday.
45. Oh, so I'm famished. So I don't know what I said last night. So I have to say Hayoim Chamisha V'Arbaim Yoim
Yeah,
Shem Shish Ushlosh Yamim Loimer. I don't even know what I said last night. Don't mess with 45. Very good. Don't worry. Still comes 48. So I might have messed up. This is the second time in the sphere that I got messed up. That's why I'm makbid to say it by shir every day, because I'm not to remind Oilam. Just in case I got mixed up, I'll get corrected. So Yoim Chamisha V'Arbaim Yoim Shem Shish Shavuos Ushlosh Yamim Loimer. Okay. Akiva.
yeah.
What were you doing last night while I was saying shir?
I apologize.
You were recording it. Was that this?
No, because the week before, when I wanted to go record the shir by Rabbi Yair Adler, I couldn't record it. I don't know why. So I didn't want to show up to Tzeil Mud and then try to record it, and it didn't work. So I just was rehearsing to make sure that it worked.
And also, it showed that there were 6 participants, but I didn't see them on the screen. Normally, I see a phone participant and I see a video participant. Here, I didn't see anybody. I only saw 2 people, but it said on the screen that there were 6 participants.
I don't know. I guess YouTube counts as one, as a viewer.
It doesn't count as one when in the morning when I'm recording.
No. So what happens in that? But what happens there is